Tanzania has signed a big contract with the Russians. Congratulations to them. Piga Makofi. It's a massive project about uranium. Piga Makofi. Yeah.
Could one deal turn Tanzania into a global uranium power? Tanzania has just struck a $1.2 billion deal with Russia to build a massive uranium processing plant, its biggest agreement ever. If successful, it could push the country into the top tier of global uranium producers. But why this resource? Why this partner? And why now? Let's find out. On a humid August morning in 2025, in the quiet town of Namtumbo, the Tanzanian government set in motion an agreement that could alter the country's economic identity for decades. The signing of a $1.2 billion partnership with Russia was not conducted behind closed doors or as a quiet bureaucratic procedure. It was launched with a full public ceremony led by President Samia Suluhu Hassan, a clear signal that this deal was meant to be seen and remembered. The agreement is centered on the construction of a state-of-the-art uranium processing facility, the largest industrial investment ever made in Tanzania. Unlike past contracts in the mining sector, where foreign companies extracted raw materials and shipped them abroad for refinement, this project is designed to process uranium entirely within Tanzanian borders. The plant's mandate is clear: handle the full journey from ore extraction to export-ready product, turning Tanzania into an active, high-value player in the nuclear supply chain. The scale is unprecedented. Over a projected 20-year operational lifespan, the facility aims to process 300,000 tons of uranium, a figure that, if achieved, would vault Tanzania into the position of third-largest uranium producer in Africa and within the top 10 globally. This is not just about output, it's about permanence. By locking in a 2-decade operational window from the start, the government has committed to a long-term industrial role in a market where stability and reliability are prized above all else. The choice of Russia as a partner is equally significant. Through its state atomic energy corporation, Rosatom, Moscow is bringing more than just financing to the table. It is supplying the technological backbone of the project, specialized equipment for uranium handling, advanced safety systems, and radiation monitoring capabilities designed to meet international nuclear trade standards. This is not an arm's-length investor arrangement. It is a deep operational partnership, with Rosatom's subsidiary Mantra Tanzania Limited tasked with running day-to-day operations once production begins in 2026. From Tanzania's perspective, this partnership offers several advantages beyond immediate financial gain. It sidesteps the decades-old pattern of raw resource export dependency, introduces advanced industrial processes to the country's economy, and provides a direct channel for technology transfer in one of the most technically demanding sectors in the world. It also diversifies Tanzania's strategic relationships, positioning the country within the orbit of a major global power at a time when competition for African resources is intensifying. For Russia, the deal is an opportunity to secure a foothold in a region where Western influence has historically been stronger, while expanding its control over parts of the global uranium supply. In a geopolitical environment shaped by shifting alliances, sanctions, and energy security concerns, the partnership offers Moscow both economic return and strategic depth. Yet the announcement has not gone unchallenged. Environmental advocates have raised concerns about the plant's proximity to the Selous ecosystem, one of Africa's largest protected wildlife reserves. While the Tanzanian government insists that strict environmental safeguards will be put in place, the balance between industrial ambition and ecological stewardship will remain under scrutiny as the project advances. Still, the immediate reaction within Tanzania has been one of cautious optimism. For many, the deal represents a long-awaited step toward leveraging the country's mineral wealth for domestic benefit, rather than watching profits drain away overseas. For others, it is the beginning of a new dependency, this time on Russian capital and technology. What is certain is that this agreement has not emerged in isolation. It is the product of calculated decisions about timing, resource potential, and the shifting global energy landscape. To understand why Tanzania's uranium deal is so different from anything it has attempted before, you have to start with the plant's core purpose. The Namtumbo facility is not simply a site where rock is extracted and shipped away. It is a complete uranium processing ecosystem built to transform raw ore into nuclear-grade concentrate that meets the demanding standards of global buyers. This distinction is crucial. In much of Africa's mining history, the wealth of a resource has been drained at the very first stage, or is dug from the ground, loaded into containers, and sent abroad, where foreign companies handle the high-value processing. The Namtumbo plant disrupts that model entirely. Every stage of the value chain, from crushing and milling to chemical extraction and purification, will take place on Tanzanian soil. This means the country keeps the skilled jobs, the technological infrastructure, and a far greater share of the profits that would otherwise vanish overseas. The facility itself is designed for high-volume, long-term stability. With a projected capacity to process 15,000 tons of uranium per year over 2 decades, it will be one of the most consistent suppliers on the continent. Unlike many African mining projects that depend on fluctuating global demand, the Namtumbo operation is structured with fixed long-term supply contracts in mind, allowing Tanzania to secure predictable export revenue and protect itself from the volatility of spot market pricing. Beyond its production volume, the plant's modular design sets it apart. Each processing module functions as a self-contained unit, meaning capacity can be expanded or reduced without disrupting the entire operation. This flexibility allows Tanzania to adapt to market conditions, scaling up if global demand spikes, such as when new nuclear power plants come online, or slowing production if prices fall, all while maintaining efficiency. Another defining feature is its integration with international nuclear compliance frameworks. The plant will operate under protocols aligned with the International Atomic Energy Agency's safeguards, giving Tanzania's uranium exports a seal of legitimacy that opens doors to the most lucrative and security-conscious markets. This is not a trivial detail. Buyers in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East demand strict traceability and safety guarantees before engaging in uranium trade, and Namtumbo is being engineered to meet those standards from day one. The decision to locate the plant in Namtumbo, deep in Tanzania's southern mineral belt, was not only about proximity to uranium deposits, it was also about logistics and infrastructure. The site is within reach of planned railway expansions that will link the region to the port of Mtwara, reducing export-transport costs. Access to local water sources, essential for uranium processing, has also been carefully assessed, with plans for water treatment systems to ensure sustainable use and recycling during operations. This infrastructure-first approach signals that the government is not treating the uranium plant as a standalone project but as a catalyst for regional development. Roads, power lines, and communication networks built for the facility will also serve surrounding communities, effectively embedding the plant within a broader economic upgrade for southern Tanzania. Perhaps most importantly, the plant is being designed as a training ground for Tanzanian technical talent. Processing uranium at an industrial scale requires highly specialized skills in chemistry, engineering, and environmental safety. Instead of importing all of that expertise indefinitely, the facility will house dedicated training and research units, where local engineers and scientists will work alongside experienced Russian teams. This approach builds a domestic knowledge base, preparing Tanzania not only to maintain the plant, but to replicate similar facilities in the future, whether in uranium or other high-value mineral sectors. It is this combination of industrial independence, market credibility, and capacity for skill development that makes the Namtumbo plant so different from Tanzania's past resource projects. But the blueprint alone does not explain how these plans will be executed. For that, we have to look at the depth of Russia's involvement, not just as a financier, but as the operational architect of Tanzania's uranium future. Let's pause for a second to say, big thank you to the Black Culture Diary community, where Black voices, stories, and legacies are preserved and amplified. By becoming a member, you're not just supporting the channel, you're becoming part of a powerful cultural movement. Let's continue. When Tanzania chose Russia as its partner for the Namtumbo uranium project, it didn't just secure a source of funding. It brought in a co-architect with decades of experience in nuclear-grade infrastructure. Rosatom's role in this deal extends far beyond cutting a check. It is embedded in every stage of design, engineering, and operational planning. At the technical core of the project is Rosatom's proprietary uranium refining technology, refined over years of running similar facilities across Russia and in allied nations. This includes high-efficiency solvent extraction systems, which separate uranium from other minerals with minimal waste, and advanced calcination processes that convert the concentrate into a stable, transport-ready form. These are not off-the-shelf solutions. They are tailored to the specific mineral profile of Tanzanian uranium deposits, ensuring optimal recovery rates while keeping operational costs under control. Rosatom is also overseeing the supply chain for specialized equipment, from heavy-duty milling machinery capable of handling high-density ore to precision-controlled reactors used in the chemical extraction phase. All this equipment is being sourced from a mix of Russian manufacturing hubs and select international suppliers that meet nuclear compliance standards. By controlling procurement, Rosatom ensures uniform quality across the plant's systems, which is critical for safety and efficiency. One of the less visible but equally crucial aspects of Russian involvement is the radiation safety infrastructure. The plant will integrate automated monitoring stations that feed real-time radiation data to both on-site control rooms and remote Rosatom safety hubs. This dual monitoring system allows for immediate response to any anomalies and builds trust with future uranium buyers who demand strict safety verification before committing to contracts. Equally strategic is Rosatom's role in workforce integration. Rather than parachuting in foreign teams to run the operation indefinitely, Rosatom has agreed to embed its specialists alongside Tanzanian engineers and technicians. This joint operational model serves two purposes. It accelerates skills transfer to the local workforce and creates a collaborative environment where Russian and Tanzanian teams troubleshoot and innovate together. Beyond the physical plant, Rosatom is helping to develop a national uranium quality certification framework for Tanzania. This is a critical step because, without recognized certification protocols, Tanzanian uranium would have to be tested and approved abroad, adding cost and delay to exports. Once in place, this framework will give Tanzania the ability to certify its product for international sale, enhancing its control over the trade process. Rosatom's involvement also extends into logistics and export strategy. Given uranium's sensitive nature, transporting it from the Namtumbo plant to global buyers involves a complex chain of secure storage, armed transport, and international shipping compliance. Russian expertise in handling these security protocols means Tanzania can avoid the steep learning curve that often delays new exporters in the nuclear sector. In geopolitical terms, Russia's deep integration into the Namtumbo project also signals a shift in African resource politics. Moscow is securing long-term supply channels at a time when global uranium demand is projected to rise sharply due to renewed investment in nuclear power. For Tanzania, aligning with Russia provides access to markets that may be less accessible through Western-dominated supply chains, particularly in Asia and parts of the Middle East, where Rosatom already has nuclear power contracts. However, with such extensive Russian involvement comes a degree of dependency that Tanzania will need to manage carefully. The plant's success will be tied to the continued political and economic stability of Russian-Tanzanian relations, as well as the reliability of Russian supply lines for spare parts, reagents, and technical support. The partnership is therefore a calculated gamble. Tanzania gains a technological leap it could not have achieved alone, but it also ties a critical sector of its economy to the fortunes of a single foreign power. Whether this gamble pays off will depend not only on plant performance, but on how the wider Tanzanian economy adapts to the opportunities and pressures the uranium industry will create. And that's where the next part of the story unfolds, how the Namtumbo project could trigger an economic chain reaction far beyond the mining sector, reshaping industries and communities across Tanzania. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. If the Namtumbo uranium plant performs as projected, its impact will not be confined to the mining industry. It will radiate through multiple layers of Tanzania's economy. Large-scale industrial projects act like magnets for investment, infrastructure, and human capital, and the Namtumbo facility has the potential to pull all three into a relatively underdeveloped region of the country. One of the most immediate shifts will be in regional infrastructure development. To support the transport of uranium to export points, new road and rail connections will be built or upgraded, linking Namtumbo to Tanzania's southern port at Mtwara, and potentially integrating into the planned regional transport corridors that connect Tanzania to Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia. This not only facilitates uranium exports, but also opens trade routes for agricultural goods, manufactured products, and consumer goods, reducing transport costs for other industries. The presence of the plant will also create a secondary industrial zone around Namtumbo. Support services, such as equipment maintenance workshops, chemical supply depots, and secure storage facilities, will emerge to serve the plant, but will also be available for other businesses. In many global mining hubs, this type of industrial clustering leads to diversification, with unrelated sectors taking advantage of the improved infrastructure and skilled workforce. A key beneficiary of this development will be Tanzania's education and training sector, with the plant generating demand for specialists in metallurgy, environmental science, radiation safety, and logistics. Universities and vocational institutes will have a strong incentive to expand their programs in STEM fields. Over time, this could produce a wave of Tanzanian professionals who are not only capable of working in uranium processing, but are also competitive in other high-tech industries. The ripple effect here is profound. A single project could catalyze a generation of skilled workers who contribute far beyond mining. Another economic transformation could occur in energy access. Industrial projects of this magnitude require reliable, high-capacity electricity, which often prompts upgrades to local power grids. In meeting the plant's energy needs, Tanzania could also expand grid access to nearby communities and small businesses, unlocking new possibilities for local manufacturing and services. There is also a financial dimension to consider. The projected royalties and tax revenues from uranium exports will give the government a new pool of funds. If managed prudently, these could be channeled into national infrastructure projects, healthcare expansion, or rural development programs. Countries that have successfully turned resource wealth into lasting prosperity, such as Botswana with its diamond revenues, did so by reinvesting windfalls into diversified growth sectors. For Tanzania, the Namtumbo revenues could be the foundation for such a strategy. The project could also alter Tanzania's trade relationships. As a reliable uranium supplier, Tanzania will have leverage in negotiations with countries dependent on nuclear energy, which could translate into trade deals for agricultural products, manufactured goods, or technology partnerships. These are the kinds of diplomatic side effects that go beyond raw export earnings. They position a country as an indispensable node in global supply chains. However, the economic wave could just as easily bring challenges. Rapid industrialization can drive up the cost of living in project areas, strain housing markets, and cause inequality between regions that benefit directly and those that do not. Without policies to manage these effects, the benefits could become concentrated in a small elite, while wider society sees little change. That is why the government's role will be critical, not just in managing revenues, but in regulating the environmental and social impacts of rapid growth. Because the plant's location places it near one of the most ecologically sensitive zones in East Africa, how Tanzania balances economic ambition with environmental responsibility could determine whether the project becomes a model for sustainable development or a cautionary tale. And that brings us to the final decisive layer of this story, the environmental stakes, and how Tanzania plans to protect its natural heritage while pursuing its boldest industrial venture yet. Just beyond the planned uranium processing complex lies one of the most prized ecological treasures in East Africa, the Selous ecosystem, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its vast wetlands, roaming elephant herds, and rare wildlife habitats. This proximity has made the Namtumbo project more than an economic gamble. It's also an environmental test case for whether Tanzania can industrialize without eroding the natural heritage that draws global admiration and tourism revenue. Mining projects near ecologically sensitive zones have a history of triggering public backlash and reputational damage, particularly when they involve substances as politically charged as uranium. Critics warn that even small lapses in waste handling or water management could have consequences measured not in months, but decades, contaminating soil and waterways, disrupting migratory patterns, and eroding biodiversity. For Tanzania, the stakes are doubled. Mismanagement could harm the environment and jeopardize the international marketability of its uranium, as buyers increasingly demand proof of sustainable sourcing. To address these risks, the government and Rosatom have outlined a multi-layered environmental protection strategy. Central to this is the installation of sealed tailings storage facilities, engineered containment systems designed to lock away radioactive residues from processing, preventing them from leaching into the soil or groundwater. These will be paired with on-site water treatment plants to recycle and purify processed water before any release into local waterways. In addition, continuous radiation monitoring will be embedded not only within the plant perimeter, but also in surrounding buffer zones. Data from these stations will be transmitted to both Tanzanian regulatory agencies and independent auditors, ensuring that safety claims can be verified in real time. This transparency is intended to reassure both local communities and international watchdogs that the plant operates within strict safety margins. But environmental management here goes beyond engineering. The project includes biodiversity offset programs, where Rosatom and the Tanzanian government commit to funding conservation efforts in other parts of the Selous Reserve to balance out any habitat disruption near the plant site. These programs could involve anti-poaching initiatives, habitat restoration, and the creation of protected wildlife corridors to preserve migratory routes. For Tanzania, this dual commitment to industrial growth and environmental stewardship is more than public relations. It is a deliberate effort to position itself as a credible supplier in the emerging green nuclear economy, where uranium is seen not as a relic of Cold War arms races but as a clean energy enabler for countries trying to reduce carbon emissions. In this framing, the Selous becomes not an obstacle but a proof point. If Tanzania can process uranium while protecting one of Africa's most sensitive ecosystems, it strengthens its case as a responsible, long-term partner for nations seeking a stable and ethical uranium supply. Looking ahead, the Namtumbo plant could also lay the groundwork for Tanzania's domestic nuclear ambitions. While the current plan focuses solely on exports, the expertise and infrastructure built here could eventually support a civilian nuclear power program. For a country where electricity demand is expected to double within 2 decades, nuclear power offers the promise of baseload energy that doesn't depend on rainfall, fossil fuel imports, or the volatility of regional power grids. However, realizing that vision will require careful policy sequencing, building regulatory capacity, securing public support, and maintaining the trust of trading partners. A single environmental misstep could not only damage the Selous, but also derail Tanzania's nuclear future. This is why the Namtumbo project is more than just an industrial milestone. It is a pivot point where Tanzania must prove that it can extract value from its natural resources without repeating the extractive mistakes that have plagued so many other mineral-rich nations. If it succeeds, the country won't just be a uranium supplier. It will be a model for resource-led industrialization in the 21st century, showing that an African state can harness a high-stakes commodity while safeguarding the landscapes that define its identity. And that is the long game: to stand in the global nuclear arena not as a passive exporter, but as a sovereign, responsible, and indispensable energy partner, one whose decisions in the next few years will shape both its economy and its environment for generations to come. Is Tanzania about to join the nuclear elite? Can one deal change a nation's destiny? Let us know in the comment section. Why is Russia betting big on Tanzania's uranium? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.